Hello, welcome back to the third video in this module for week 3. In this video, I want to focus my attention on creation or creating a relational database. Let's learn how to create a relational database. We would just pick a very simple database that will contain only three tables: students table, enrollment, and courses, just to help us understand how relationships are being created in SQL, my SQL workbench. So we're going to create our own database, and we use this my SQL workbench to create a college database that's structure a college database structure according to the following diagram. So, like I said again, this database we're about to create, we may not use it for any database querying purposes or purpose. Our main focus here is just to have the knowledge of how to create a database, a relational database in my SQL workbench. And for the student tables, or table rather, students table, we will have three columns: the student ID, which is going to be assigned the primary key, the name, and the surname. Okay, and for enrollments table we would have the student ID, the course ID. So these two IDs will be the foreign keys on this table. And the courses would have the name, the course ID, and credits. So here the course ID would be assigned a primary key, and you will see the relationships that the students table will be related to the enrollments table by a one-to-many relationship, and the enrollment table will be related to the courses table by a many to one relationship. So let's head over to my SQL workbench. I would press my Windows button and type workbench to search for my SQL workbench so that we can begin creating this database, uh, following through with some steps. So the first step is to let's get to my SQL workbench. Where is it opened? Is it opened already? Okay, so let's try and see if it's opened already. Okay, so that is it here. So the first step I will have to take is to get into my local instance. I will click on local instance and type my password for my local instance. So do same from your end. When you open your local instance, you may not see this restore workspace. This is because I was working on something earlier and I didn't save. So I'm going to just cancel. So don't you may not see these databases that I have in my own case, but if you've created the Chinook database earlier in this local instance, you'll find it there with the sys database. But let's assume that we are not interested in any of these two databases. We want to create a new database that is called college. So let's create a college database. Now, how do you create a new database in Workbench? You see this database icon, this icon right here in the ribbon. It says when you point your arrow to it, you see a pop-up which says create a new schema, right? Create a new schema in the connected server. So once you click on it, it will create a new database automatically, and there will be a new tab that's been displayed which will carry the name new schema dash schema. Let's call this college. Let's call the database college. So as I'm doing I would recommend that you also practicalize by following the steps. So I've created the database called college. The next step is for me to click on the apply button. And once you click on apply button to give you the pop-up, apply changes to object. The server is configured with lowercase names equals one, which only allows lowercase in schema and table names. The object to be created as college. So it's saying that we can't create a database with capital C or uppercase. Just click on OK. Say OK, I accept whatever suggestion you're giving. So we've created a database, and here is the line of query that will allow you to create database. Just say, let's assume you want to create it using the query. All you need to do is just say create schema and give the schema a name. hit and apply. So I'm not doing anything here. This pop-up came automatically after clicking on apply over there. So click apply again, and the database will be created. Then you click on finish. So once you do that, you would come over to this side, the schemas pane. You will find the database being created called college. Okay, since we are done with this tab, we can close this college schema tab since we are done creating our database. Now, when you come to expand each of the components under this schema called college, you find the various four items: tables, views, stored, procedures, and functions. We need to add our tables. Tables will be added right here. Okay, so there are different ways to add tables. You could right click here and click on create table or create table like. So this is where you want to create table like a timestamp, user category, or you want to search for table or import table import data, sorry, table import table data import wizard. We've done use this option in subsequent, I mean in previous lecture, to upload or create a Chinook database. But right now we are creating from scratch. We don't have any table that is in CSV file existing anywhere. So we can click on the create icon or this create table option. I said there are several ways of doing that. Let me show you two ways. Now, if you don't want to click on create table option, you can come over to this side. If I'm point your arrow to the next icon after the schema database creation, you would find this. It says create new table in the active schema in connected server. So immediately I click on this create table, the table will be created in Chinook DB because Chinook DB is the active schema. Uh, college is not the active schema. So to make college schema the active schema, all I need to do is to right click on college and select set as default schema. So immediately you do that, college is now set as the active schema. So if I should click on this button right now to create a table, the table will be created. So I'm going to create, there are three tables to be created. I will create the first one by right clicking on tables. I would expand the database and right click on tables and click on create table. So when you do that, you have the new table tab displayed. So our first table, let's go back to our slide. Our first table is called students. So let's give the title of our first table students, all in small letters. Yeah, students. Now there are columns under the first table. The first column is called student ID, name, and surname. Let's insert those columns into this table called students. So this is where we can add columns. Okay, the area to add columns is not displayed yet. To display the area to add columns, you can see here it says click to change the number of displays available table plans. So when I click on this table options rather, when I click on this, it expands and gives me where I can add my columns. So you can see where this guy that shows table name, data type, and all of those. Come just under the column name, double click. Under the column name, double click and type in the first column name, student ID. Let's call this student ID. Okay. Then it's int selected automatically, and you can see that because there is a word, not, do I say word or letter called ID, because we have ID attached to it, my SQL workbench automatically assumes, okay, this is a, a column that will identify the students uniquely. So let me just assign a primary key to that column, and it automatically selects PK and NN. So the PK here means primary key, and NN means not null. So it means we cannot have a null value under this column called student ID. Okay, let's add a new column so we can actually see more options, I mean more of the columns, by collapsing these parts. Bring your arrow here, click and drag. It will display more columns. So the next column is the name column. Let's get over back here and type in the name column. So change convert this to name. So the name column should have what data type? Let's see. The name column should have a text data type. Okay. So it has already selected voucher automatically 45. So which is not so bad. So this is text. So voucher 45 means that all right, this column is expected to contain text character that is between 0 and 45. So but it mustn't, can be more than 45. So can we possibly have someone named that is spelled with more than 45 characters or 45 letters? So I'm not sure. Now that is all. We don't need to set any attributes to this column from this list of options. Let's get back to our presentation. The next slide is surname. So come back to my SQL workbench, double click again and type surname right here. Press enter. Surname is also voucher 45. Let's just leave it as is. Okay, so with this, we've successfully created the student table under the college database. So when you right click on tables and click on, okay, before I do that, I think I need to apply what I've done. We've not applied. So let's apply this. And once you apply, it shows you the query that one would have used to create that table. So hit on apply again and finish. So once you do that, you can come back to tables, right click and click on refresh all. You find the table that you just created. So this is the table that we just created called students. Okay, let's create the second table. The second table is enrollment. Enrollment table we created. Now this option I did right click and I click on create table. So this time around I want to hit on this icon in the ribbon, click on create table, and once you do that, a new table tab will be displayed again. So we say let's call this table enrollment. The enrollment table would have some columns. Okay, let me collapse this a little bit more to see where you can add the columns of interest. So the first column that we want to type in the enrollment table is student ID column. So we have double click here, double click and type on student ID, student ID. So the student ID is the first column that we intend to type. Then secondly, we have another column called the course ID. Let's go there and input the course ID. We have the course ID and tab. So this course ID should also be int. It shouldn't be voucher, so we can come change the data type to int. So as you can see, immediately we type in student ID, my SQL workbench automatically chose that as the primary key again. I uncheck primary key and I uncheck non null. So it means okay, don't assign this as the primary key. So these two keys are foreign keys, just as seen from the presentation. They are both foreign keys, foreign keys. So we have to assign foreign keys to those two columns. And before we assign the foreign keys, let's complete the process of the table creation before we come back to this to assign foreign keys. I mean to say. So I'm hitting on the apply button, and I'll click on apply. Once I do that, the table will be created. When I come to tables under the college database and I refresh all, the table will be added to the second list. So we have enrollments and we have students. So finally, let's create the third table. Click on create table. Third table is called courses. So come here and type courses. Press enter. Under the courses table, there are three columns, right? We have the first column called the name, right? Course ID and credits. So we have name. Now the name shouldn't be int, the name should be voucher. The name, let's give it voucher 45 again. Uncheck this primary key and uncheck NN. The next column that we want to see is the course ID. Here's the course ID column. So the course ID should be int. We choose int for this option, this ID, and it contains the primary key. Okay, and finally we have the credits. Credits. So the credits can be uh, those units credits. Let's give it integer also. What data type is it? Let's check. Credits is okay. No specified specific data type. So let's leave it as integer. All those units credits for courses, they are usually numbers. Yep. So these are the three tables created. I can now click on apply, and I'll choose apply. So we've created the three tables. And this table, the second table here, the enrollment table, has these two keys, which are the foreign keys. So to set these two as the foreign keys, I like you to look at my arrow, come over to the bottom, and we'll have columns in the indexes and foreign keys. So click on foreign keys. Then your foreign key name, the first foreign key we have on this table is called the student ID. Type student ID, and the reference table, can come over here to choose the reference table. So the reference table is called the students table. Okay, that is the reference table, students table, and the column that is assigned in primary key, I mean the foreign key, is the student ID from the referenced column, which is student ID. So the next foreign key on this table is called the course ID. So let's type it right here. The course ID is the second foreign key, and we choose the reference table, which is courses, courses, and here course ID is the reference column, and that is coming from the course ID. So we've been able to set the foreign keys properly. The next step is just to hit on the apply button. We have foreign keys, we have primary keys, click on apply, and those have been set well. Click on finish. The next thing is for us to go and view our relationship. I want to refresh all and check the tables. So we have three tables: courses, enrollments, and students. We've assigned primary key and foreign keys. Let's see how the relationship is created. To view the relationship, come over to database and click on reverse engineer. It will pop this up with the different, with all of the credentials to get into the local instance. Don't change anything, leave all of those as they are. Click on next. You can enter your root password for your local instance. Enter the root password, click on OK, and hit on next again. So it's saying that what schemas do you want to see? We want to see the college schema. This is because we have more than one schema there. If it was only college, then only college would have been on the list. Click on next, and click on next again. Finally, it says we are importing my SQL tables, three objects found and three selected. Click on execute, and finally you can hit on the uh, next button and finish. So automatically my SQL workbench has been able to create a relationship for us. Why? Because we were able to choose the right column and assign primary keys and foreign keys to the right columns. So once you place your arrow on this table, you will see it highlighted, the columns that are related to the table from other tables. Okay, so that's how to create a relational database, and how to create relationships in my SQL workbench. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you now understand how to create relationships and how to get to the relationship, the entity relationship diagram in my SQL. All right, that will be all for now, and see you in the next video. Goodbye.